Pork Vindaloo. I have looked up lots of Vindaloo versions on the internet, and I think that this version that I'm doing is very different. All of the Vindaloo recipes are the sort of meat that is a long slow cook and basically very fatty. So pork that's got fat, beef that's got lots of fat, so that once it's had its long slow cook, there's lots of fat in the sauce. I wanted a low fat version, and I also wanted to show you how to make a proper Vindaloo. It isn't just about the heat. Um, it shouldn't be unbearably hot or a challenge to eat. It's more about the most important ingredient in this, which is coconut vinegar. I actually brought some back from India in my suitcase, but there is a version that you can get here. It's made by Coconut Merchant. Some supermarkets sell it. You can definitely buy it online, and I would urge you to get coconut vinegar. If you can't, apple cider vinegar will do the job, but if you're going to be authentic, be authentic. So the thing that makes this super spicy is the amount of chilies. I've got 125 ml of the coconut vinegar, and I've got 6 dried red chilies, seeds and all, that I've snipped up, and I've left those soaking in here for about 20 minutes. I've got 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of coriander, half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I've got about this much ginger, probably about 4 centimetre chunk of ginger. 4, help me out here, garlics. I'm adding, this is optional, I'm going to add, it's about 4 branches of curry leaves. I've removed the leaves from the branches. The reason I'm using those is because I saw it in the supermarket and I love the flavour. So I'm adding that in. Everything will go into a mini chopper and we will blend it to a paste. Now, what makes my dish unusual is I'm cooking it with pork fillet. So it's actually going to be quite a quick cook. The pork fillet has no fat on it, so it is absolutely delicious. You'll need to trim up your pork of the sinew. Can you see here the white sinew? Because that is tough and inedible. So you'll trim up your pork of the sinew and then cut it into slices, about 4 centimetre slices. Okay, I'm going to blitz the paste. Blitzed up, if you haven't got a mini chopper, you could blitz it up in a NutriBullet or, one of those little mini blenders. They're pretty effective. I'll just show you the consistency. It smells absolutely gorgeous. It's really quite runny, you can see. And we're going to use that to marinate the pork because it's pork fillet. I'm only going to marinate it for, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to add some salt. I'm going to just add a teaspoon of salt to the marinade. Because it's pork fillet, I'm only going to marinate it for half an hour. Pork fillet's a tricky one when it comes to quantity. Pork fillet should be, it's usually for 2 people, but there's no way we're going to eat all of that. So it could feed 3 people. It's great leftover. I have actually tested this recipe and my children absolutely loved it. Right, so I'm going to tip these into a bowl. That is the pork fillet. I'm going to tip in the marinade. I'm going to set a timer. I don't want this. I'm going to use my hands. Oh, it smells gorgeous. I'm going to use a timer. I don't want this to marinate any longer than 30 minutes because of the vinegar, because of the salt. It's quite a tender meat. I'm going to wash my hands. While the pork's marinating, it's either one large red onion, or I've got 2 small, if you just finely chop them. and also get ready with some yellow mustard seeds and black mustard seeds, because that's going to be the start of the curry. So get those out ready. Oh, and you might as well get, I've got 250 ml of chicken stock. You could use vegetable stock, you could use water. You want 250 ml of liquid. In a medium heat, I have melted some ghee, and I'm going to, the reason it's medium because I just don't want to burn the mustard seeds. That's a teaspoon of yellow mustard seeds and a teaspoon of black mustard seeds. These will start popping very quickly, and then I will add the onions to the pan. I can just hear them popping now. Can you hear them popping? There we go. Onions going in. Onions are in. I've moved it to an even lower light, a smaller light on the lowest setting, and I'm going to cook the onions until they're nice and soft, which will take 7 to 10 minutes. Move the onions to the edge of the pan, put a little bit more ghee in. I've moved it to, it'll help if I turn it on. I've moved it to a bigger ring on a higher heat. Move the onions right to the edge. I have taken the pork out of the marinade, and I am going to cook it for about 3 or 4 minutes on each side. So these will go in. I'll set a timer for myself. After 4 minutes, I will turn them over. There we go. I've also got some water on, you can't see, but I've got some water on because I'm just going to serve this with rice. Oh, don't waste the juices. That's going to go in there. And quickly rinse this, because you shouldn't put cooked meat back on something that's had raw meat on. It's important I share everything with you. I think I had the light too high and my onions started to burn, but I was standing here watching it, so I actually took the onions out of the pan and put them in a separate bowl, and I finished cooking the pork. Now in goes all of the Vindaloo marinade, everything that makes it a Vindaloo. Give it a good stir. Chicken stock. I am going to move this to a lower light. I forget how fierce my middle light is. I'm going to put in a couple of teaspoons of sugar, which is really important to have with the vinegar, so that you've got the sweetness, the sour, the umami. Give it a stir, and I'm just going to let this bubble away. I'll come back to in 10 minutes. I'm going to move it to a lower light. I'll bring it to a simmer, lower light, and I'll see how it is after 10 minutes. The sauce has cooked for 10 to 15 minutes. It's gone a lovely dark colour. I'm going to pop the pork back in for a couple of minutes just to heat through. And any leftover cooking juices, for God's sake, put it in the pan. Don't waste a thing. I'll just cook that for a couple of minutes. I'm also going to add some chopped, it's about 2 tablespoons of finely chopped coriander. Just mix that through. When you taste the sauce, it should be sour, sweet, and salty, as well as heat, but the heat should not be unbearable. It's hot, I can't pretend it's not. It is hot, but it's not unbearable. And you could always serve it with some yogurt to cool it down. So I think to serve it, it's quite nice to serve it sliced rather than big pieces. And in fact, when I sliced it, it was still a little bit pink. So I've put the slices back in the tin, in the pan. I'm going to leave the lid on, and it will be just fine while I cook the rice, and it will be cooked perfectly. What you don't want to do with pork fillet is overcook it. It gets tough and horrible. And a little bit pink is absolutely fine. I'm serving. I just hope this is the second time I've made this film. The first time I had no sound on. So I hope this has worked. I've made some just some plain boiled rice. I'm taking the lid off. It's lovely. I'll just show you. Oh, I haven't got a. But all the pinkness, there is a little bit of pink, but no major pink. So I'm just going to put some pieces of pork on the plate. They're so much nicer sliced. Ouch. And then some of this fantastic sauce. And slop it all over the edge because that's really classy. Oh, I can't stand that mess. And here we have my pork fillet Vindaloo. I don't usually end my videos like this, but I am eating, this Vindaloo. And it is so good. You have to cook it.